first moved here, I came down to North Beach and I thought, wow, there's really nothing here except rocks and seaweed, because I didn't know how to look. And now I'm finding all kinds of amazing animals that live here. There's a giant barnacle here that doesn't realize that the tide is out and it's trying to feed, and it's surrounded by northern feather dusters. I always bring my camera with me. I'm always looking for marine invertebrates. I love the sea stars, the chitons. I love the crabs.
Okay, on this frond of kelp, we have a bryozoan colony. It's thousands of little individual animals.
It's fun to go to Salt Creek with the students. One day I was looking into a tide pool there during a minus tide, and I found the most beautiful daisy brittle star. It actually had spines going down its arms. I think the more people learn about the biodiversity here in our part of the world, that more people will want to protect it.
The house I grew up in was literally right on the beach in Tortola, part of the British Virgin Islands, which is where most of my family is from. My cousins and I, all we knew was the ocean. What I think is really great about the Salish Sea is that it connects all of these different waterways in a way that goes beyond the national boundaries, it goes beyond the city and town boundaries. You really have to understand it as a whole in order for anything that you do to be impactful. I was lucky enough to be on our gray whale project. For someone who has never been involved with marine mammals before, to have my first experience being literally elbow and knee deep in a whale helping out was a very cool experience and a really great opportunity to be a part of. We just need to pay attention. There are definitely lots of changes happening on the face of the earth environmentally, and if you're not thinking with the future in mind, then there will be nothing there waiting for us or for our legacies when we're not here. Everyone needs to be able to understand the science for it to be useful, for it to be impactful, and for us to actually make changes that will benefit not only the people involved, but the planet as well.
When I look out at the Salish Sea, I see a lot of interdependence. We've reached the point where the Salish Sea and the ocean in general is really dependent on humans to preserve it and protect it, and we're dependent on it for its resources. I think the biggest thing that inspires me is seeing beaches restored and habitat protected, species on the rebound. Irondale Beach is a perfect example, and restoring this beach was particularly important because of Chimacum Creek and the importance of that habitat for preserving salmon. These streams have to be maintained in order to allow those fish to breed successfully and to maintain a viable population. And if we don't preserve the freshwater systems, we're going to lose our saltwater systems. We need places like the Marine Science Center educating people on the connection, the interdependence between humans and the ocean, and just to continue churning out people who can have a voice to protect it.
Grew up in urban New Jersey, and I was fortunate enough to go to camp in Maine. I learned to canoe, I learned to row, I learned to sail. That was the genesis of my lifelong passion for boats. I just feel in touch with the wildness of the world when I'm on the ocean and on the sea.
These are some of the most dramatic tidal rips in the world. For example, Seymour Narrows, which is the very top of the Salish Sea, entering into Johnstone Strait, can have currents up to 14 knots.
I make my love of the sea and the preservation of our waters a part of the stories that I write and make up. One of the wonderful things about the Salish Sea and the Inside Passage, this contiguous waterway, is that the experience of being on them hasn't changed much. I like to think that boaters in general are conscious of preserving this beautiful heritage. And so boating responsibly, trying to minimize pollution. It's a way I can have an impact in a world where otherwise I feel fairly powerless to have an impact. I've also been a photographer my whole life. One of the things that I love is the ability to use really long lenses. I like to say that the way we hunt when we're on our boat is we hunt with cameras. The ocean as a whole is big, but when you get into the local waterways, they sort of become the canary in the mine, in that local impacts such as low oxygen, dead areas going down Hood Canal, for example. And then things like these wonderful creatures, the orcas, the way toxins have been building up in their adipose tissue and over time. It's all interrelated, and it's all a laboratory and a big experiment that's playing out right in our backyards. And our local waters are the world's waters.